Hello and welcome to this third round of the 2019 HSO Gold Star Series, where we try to find the, how should I express it, the best driver at HSO. Last year the champion was, I believe anyway, David Jakes, who has had a little bit of issues during this year, mainly hardware issues with his wheel, especially his shifter, causing him some retirements in different series. But anyway, tonight, Buenos Aires, Circuito numero 9, or however you would say it in Spanish. I'm not fluent in Spanish, and we'll have to get Alberto Ibanez or something in here to help us with some of the Spanish expressions. But anyway, I haven't got any graphics, but I can verbally give you the top 6 of the Gold Star standings, where Austin Johnson, thanks to him winning the first round and by the looks of things also winning round 2, leads the Gold Star standings on 15 points. Petr Lavac, with 2 very strong finishes, lines up second, 12 points, 3 points behind Austin Johnson. Then there's a bit of a gap of 6 points to Ray Rideau, who is third. He has only partaken in, or finished at least, in the points one of the Gold Star rounds, I should say. Fourth, we have Thiago Canola on 5 points, also having finished only one of the previous 2 Gold Star rounds. David Jakes is equal 5th with David Junt on 4 points, both of them having finished 1 round so far. So only Austin Johnson and Petr Lavac so far having finished both of the Gold Star rounds that has been so far. That would be the Riverside Mission Belt 200 and the non-broadcasted, I believe anyway, Hockenheim, using the Enduro's 1980s sports cars. Can't exactly remember the name of that modern series, but at least the World Endurance cars back in those days. Oh, sorry, thanks Jason. Austin Johnson was the winner last year as well, as he leads this year too. But I do know that David Jakes won the Gold Star, so it must have been in 2017. Yeah, anyway, let's get to the track, if I can find the different buttons to get there. I believe it's that one. Yes, it is. Here we are at the track, currently on a trackside camera, just checking out some of the action. You can see one of the marches, Adam Hackman in one of the Surtees coming past us. That's the exit of turn 2. But let's see, so Brian Yannick currently fastest on the track. Let's see if he's out on track in a moment. He isn't, but David Junt is. So let's see, where is he on track? I believe this is turn 3, Entrada a los Mich. No, it was Orkia. So let's jump on board with him for a lap, shall we? As he comes down the start-finish straight here. Car leaving the pits on the right, as he heads into Curva Uno. Turn 1, a very, very long sweeping right-hander. Very easy to get it very crossed up here, where there's a bit of a bump in the road as we enter one of the other layouts. Turn 2 at Ascari. This very fast right-hander, 5th or 4th gear, depending on your gearing. Now into Entrada a los Mixtos. Difficult to say, a very tight right-hander. Then into Viborita. And then Ombu, this corner here. And then we have Cachon, this left-hander, very tight one. Then we go into Esses called Tobojuan. This left here, over a little bit of a crest and then downhill, difficultly angled that right-hander. and into Orkia, last hairpin to finish the lap. Let's see if he has done a very quick lap. He has. Oh, he actually goes on pole by 2.5 tenths. David Junt, you are on fire in your Matra MS120B this time around. And he was a one-off driver for many races last year in 71 series. He took pole with a Ferrari at the French Grand Prix, but didn't finish that race due to issues. But he also scored some good points in other races. And Brian Yannick here in the Lotus 72C, currently second, so he's putting that Lotus to very good use here. Let's see who else we have. We have Austin Johnson currently in third, back in his Surtees. I believe that's the TS9, the updated Surtees. See, 29. Oh, I'm actually not entirely sure about that. That may also be the TS7. I can't exactly remember the numbers on those cars, since it was a little while ago since we raced these. Fourth currently Dave Miller in one of the Ferraris, the 312B, with a V12 engine in the back, and doing a very good job right here. Must be set in fourth. Fifth currently is Juha Boos in the second of the Ferraris. And there we can see the V12 in all its glory. Sixth currently is David Yates, back in his BRM P153, I believe, another of the V12s. And now we have Jason Whited in the first of the March's 711s. In my view, one of the best cars in the mod, simply because it's nice to drive. And the only one I could personally drive, so there you go. That's of course the Ronnie Peterson car, putting it to good use here in 7th at the moment. Grant Riddell in the second of the... No, sorry, that's actually one of the McLaren Ecurie Bonniers. I believe that is a McLaren M7A? I actually gotta get the starting lineup up here, I think, to be able to tell you for sure. But we are nearing the end of qualifying, 2 minutes left. So I'm just trying to get it all to work, so for the time being, let's do it. Let's do it like this on the exit of Ombo, so you can see the cars coming up the hill while I just sort out the technical bits. So there we go, now I'm back in action, sort of anyway. That is indeed one of the McLarens. That's a McLaren M7A for the Ecurie Bonnier, a one-off drive for this, well, sorry, not a one-off, privateer team, I should say. Currently in 8th, so yay, who has improved? Oh, sorry, he was in 8th. Jan Kowalski in the second of the Lotus 72s is currently 9th, and it looks like he won't be improving. And rounding out the top 10 at the moment is Adam Hackman in the first of the Tyrrells. Probably the most difficult car to drive in this round, it must be said. This is definitely not an easy car to drive around here, as we are joined by Timo Vermeersch. Good evening, Timo.
Hello, Jonathan.
who I believe you will be racing tonight, won't you?
I am currently driving. I will be racing one of the March 1 cars, which were in real life entered by John Love, the Team Gunston.
Oh, of course. A very smartly turned out car by the looks of things.
Indeed, not so fast, but who cares?
You don't need to be fast if you're able to make the car work.
No, I think this is going to be a race where a lot of people drop out during the race because it's quite a tricky little circuit.
Oh, it certainly is. I gave it a little bit of a go earlier today, and I couldn't keep the car on the road.
No, it looks like a bit of a Mickey Mouse, but then you have two fast turns in the beginning, so it's really it's quite interesting actually for a short track like this.
It certainly is, and I expect it to be very high speeds as well, considering it's a set of very quick corners around outside and then a bit of a Mickey Mouse in the middle.
Indeed, so it's a little bit of a gamble how you set up the car. Do you set it up for the speed on, I would say, the first half of the track, or do you set it up for the slow corners on the second part of the track?
And of course the risk with that is if you put just a car, a third of a car width off the racing line, you will be on the marbles and be in all kinds of troubles if you have it set up for the fast corners.
Yep, indeed. If you would like me to drive a lap around the track during warm-up so that you can show a lap, just give me the sign. I'm not sure I will be able to talk you through it because I'm on a 2-talk setup, so I need to be able to push the button while steering.
That's not a problem, we can take another lap around the track I think. I was following with David Juntas, he set his pole lap, so that was interesting to watch. But sure thing, if you want you can go out on track and give us a look of it yet again.
Like, just give me the sign, like what's convenient for you.
Ah, you can do it now.
Impossible, UI is briefing us, we are not allowed on track.
Ah, sorry, my apologies.
We have to obey the boss.
We do indeed. And so Ridol is doing a couple of practice starts by the looks of things. He of course is driving another of the March 701s for the Åcerclinth automobiles entry. Now we have Jan Prusha in the second of the March 711s. The car I'd expect you would dearly want to drive, Timo.
Yeah, indeed. A lot of 701s here. I think it's gonna be interesting just to see. I think in the real race there were Formula 1 cars and there were also Formula 5000 cars, and there was a separate ranking for the Formula 5000 cars, so to speak. So I consider the 701s the Formula 5000 around here.
You're probably not wrong. I would personally put the Brabham BT26 in there as well as one of the 5000 cars.
And I think the other entered car by Gunston is a McLaren. That's also a year-old car, I think.
Oh, it might be. I haven't actually. Let's see, Team Gunston. The other Team Gunston is the Brabham BT26.
Indeed.
So yeah, it's a very difficult car to drive. It's a bit too heavy, I think, for this one to be competitive with the faster cars. And here we are seeing David Sabre in one of the Frank Williams racing cars, and that is a March as well, the 701. Let's see, Mick Chapman is in the second of the Frank Williams racing cars. We have Jason White, a long-standing member of HSO, driving one of the works McLarens. Let's see, that's the number 12, is it? So the M14A. His teammate in works team, Lukas Vidra, is driving the updated M19A. So looking at the evolution there, Lukas should be quicker. Now we have Michael Griffiths in the TS 930s, so Austin Johnson is indeed in the 30s TS7, so the slightly older car. There we have Bruno Chocon in the BT26 Brabham John Love Motors entered car. Gerard Riot is driving the only works Brabham to partake in the event, the BT33. And I'm just trying to see if there's anyone else we haven't checked in on. There we have Peter Lavac, second in the overall standings, driving the number 26. Hanne Curie Arnold entered Marches, I think. If I can find him, there he is. Yep, March 701. And now we have Lukas Vidra in the newer McLaren. And of course Ray Vidal and Jan Prusa we saw earlier. I think we now have gone through all of them, so let's see. Timo, if you want, you can take us out for a lap.
I'm just looking here whether we're already allowed back on track. Because Juha is still briefing us.
Oh, he is.
I think we're gonna go now. Okay.
Yes, we can.
Now.
So again into turn 1 we go, Curva Uno. You can see Timo having to work the car pretty hard here on cold tires, obviously, but still not an easy corner into turn 2 at Ascari. Again we can see Timo having to work a little bit with the throttle. Going carefully into Entrada a los Mijtos, coming directly out of the pits. And again we can see it's very difficult to get on the power early. Viborita here, it's left-right, and then Umbu. This left-hander, as we can see Jan Kowalski there. One of the Lotuses standing on the side, and David Sabres had a bit of a moment as well in Cachan. And here is Toboggan again. As Jan Kowalski flies past in the Lotus. Into Orkia. A bit of a nasty downshift by the sounds of things, but I'll let you fly without me talking now, Timo.
You can talk, Jonathan. It's not quite easy with the push to talk.
Okay. Sure thing. So into turn 1, Curva Uno now with a bit more speed. Oh, quite a bit of understeer, having to resettle the car a couple of times. Whereas David Yates has had a moment on the exit of turn 1. Now into Ascari, as the second of the Lotuses flies past in the form of Brian Yannick. You can see that him on the slide, Timo with a bit more understeer in the car. That's one of the differences in the cars. And Entrada a los Mijtos will catch out one or two, as it did with Timo here. Viborita, and again into Umbu. And into Cachan. Staying a little bit wide, I'd expect there to be someone up the inside. There is. Oh dearie me. Oh, they were 3 wide. So Austin Johnson in the TS730s goes by into Toboggan. And again into Orkia to end off the lap. As Dave Milner, the Ferrari came around outside. But I gotta say, it's fantastic to see these cars out on the track again. And they sound amazing as well. You can see Timo here up a little bit on his own best time in this session. As now David Yates is up behind as Timo breaks has a bit of an outbreaking again there. That's definitely a difficult corner to negotiate. Of course, here's Adam Hackman in the I believe lone Tyrrell in the hands of Jackie Stewart in real life. The by far
Twitch. Know everything about that Tyrrell, Jonathan.
Sorry?
Should know everything about that Tyrrell.
I know enough to know that I wouldn't want to be driving it around here. It's way too twitchy. It has a lot of grip in the front, but not enough in the rear. At least not very near to the limit. I tried it twice. I crashed both times. But Adam is doing a great job with the car. Sorry?
The March 701 is quite stable, it's just very slow.
Indeed, and the March 711 is about as stable but quicker, so I'd look to one of the Marches to put on a podium performance here. As long as they can stay in the two races that this event will be, 2 50-lap sprints with aggregate scoring, so the two races will be put together to decide the winner. As we are just about to head into the race by the looks of things. Will you be staying with us, Timo, as a on-track commentator?
We'll just quickly try to change my setup and just put it on here to talk.
Okay. Well, if you decide to stay, you're very much welcome.
Should I stay in the green room then, Jonathan?
You can stay in the broadcast room if you want. It's up to you what you prefer.
Okay.
As we are now into the race session, so let's quickly get to David Junt, who will be starting at the front of the pack.
You should hear me now, Jonathan.
Yep. So Thiago Canola actually jumping in last minute in the second BRM, P153, starting from the back of the grid, but he's in here, and he of course was, I believe, 4th in the standings, so he will surely be happy with that, to be in the race at all. So starting on pole will be David Junt. Second will be Brian Yannick. Third will be Austin Johnson in the first of the 30s. Dave Miller will start 4th in the Ferrari, followed by his teammate Juha Boos. 6th will be David Yates. 7th for Jason Whitehead. 9th will be Ron Ridol in the first of the Privateer entries, Curie Bonnier March 701, so he's put in a blinder in that car. Sorry, not the the March, the McLaren M7A of course. Jan Kowalski for Team Lotus lines up 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Adam Hackman in the Tyrrell Racing Organization. 11th would be Peter Lavac in the Hani Curiano March 701. Lukas Vidra will be 12th for the Works McLaren team. 13th will be Ray Riddle for the Jo Siffert Automobiles March 701. Jan Prusa will be 14th in the 711 March. David Saber will be 15th for the Frank Williams team. 16th will be Mick Chapman in the second of the Frank Williams team cars, so 701s galore back here, with Jason White in the second of the Works McLarens in 17th. Michael Griffiths is 18th in the second of the 30s. Bruno Chacon 19th with the Brabham BT26, so that's a very good effort in that car. 20th is Gerard Rione Works Brabham, so the Brabham's struggling a lot around here by the looks of things. 21st, our friend Timo Vermeersch, and 22nd Thiago Canola lines up last in the BRM, but looking for a good race. So best of luck, Timo.
Thank you very much. It was maybe tricky open to see whether Thiago will over turn 1. I bet on Thiago.
It certainly could be, as the lights are going on. And the races go! As I seem to have some issues with my streaming, but for some reason, let's see. Okay, sorry about the lagging in the stream, it looks to be back now. So the race is underway. David Junt has retained his lead off the start line. Miller second, Johnson third, Yannick fourth. As you can see, all the cars streaming past.
Bit of luck. There were 2 cars in front of me out of the first turn, and I just nearly avoided both of them.
Yeah, one of them looks to have been your teammate.
I think it was a red March 701, the BRM, I think.
Also, we'll see, there comes Bruno Chacon indeed, so Chacon there comes you, Timo. Let's see, the 13th of Michael Griffiths is in trouble, as is Mick Chapman, who has lost his front wing, so that's the red March 701 you saw, and Michael Griffiths must have been the second one.
Yeah, so it was a third lead and a Williams and third March.
Yep, as Jan Prusa looks to have had a bit of a moment here. Oh, being passed by his teammate. Ooh, that was close that was very close in toboggan. Of course, Jan Prusa takes to the grass to avoid it. Let's see, so we're back in action with Saber getting past Mick Chapman. Owen Lavac looking up the inside of Hackman as well on the exit of Curva Uno. And here comes Lavac with a run on David Saber as well, but he decides to stay back for the time being. There we go. Oh, as he looks up the inside, ooh, Saber locks up just slightly, and that allows Lavac up the inside, and his Hane Curiano car, and up into the top 10 he goes. Great pass there. As we have at the front, David Junt opening up a bit of a gap to Dave Miller now in second. Not sure how he managed that, but he has Austin Johnson for close company at the moment. Thank you very much, Brett. These are 1971 Formula 1 cars. I believe about somewhere around 5 or 6 rounds into that year's championship, they ran this as an invitational event.
I think it was actually the first event of the year in 71, and they ran it as a test race to have an official Formula 1 Grand Prix in 1972.
Oh, okay. So that's...
But I may be mistaken.
Well, it's definitely possible. I know even less than you, I think, about F1 71, so there you have it all. the
I
first.
don't know a lot, but Wikipedia knows a lot.
We need Jason White in here to know for sure. As we can see, small groups opening up here, with 4 cars there in the line. Then we have Juha Boss and Jason Whited running 2 by 2, and then we have a bit of a gap down to 10th with Peter Lavac trying to chase after the pack, with Saber 11th, Ray Riddle 12th, Lukas Vidra 13th, Jan Prusha 14th, and then a bit of a gap to David Junt. Now Austin Johnson sets the quickest lap over 1:15. Oh, as up the inside goes Bruno Chacon on Jason White. That looked a bit optimistic, Bruno. It gotta be said. Let's have a look at it in the replay. He was close to Jason White in Toboggan already, and here he goes. Yeah, that definitely was a bit optimistic by Bruno to look up the inside there, but at least he didn't take anyone off, and Jason White retains his 15th position for the moment. And here we can see Thiago Canola trying to make his way up the grid. Is now up to 18th after starting at the back. Michael Griffiths as well trying to make his way up the field. Oh, and Adam Hackman has dropped back, and here he goes up the inside of Thiago Canola. So all of them running very carefully here at the moment, it looks like. Who was up ahead? Jason White gets all crossed up in Cachon, lets Bruno Chacon up the inside and past him, I think. Seems everyone is running fairly high fuel loads here, as Jason White is off again, unfortunately for him, so he is down to 19th now. Oh, and Jan Rioa breaks himself into Orkia. And here goes Thiago trying to look up the inside of Adam Hackman, and Hackman's Ford Cosworth engine seems to be working slightly better than the BRM V12 at the moment. And Thiago between gears here. Oh, and Hackman there! There you can all see how twitchy that Tyrrell is. As soon as he got up into the power band in the engine, the car broke loose on him. He did a very good job to keep hold of the car. Ooh! As Thiago runs a little bit wide there and outbrakes himself a little bit, and looks like all of you guys are grouping up here. Michael Griffiths not far behind Timo now, but Timo closing up to the group in front as well.
Starting to work up a sweat.
That's what's supposed to happen, to say the least, as Mick Chapman is still struggling with his damaged car. That actually looks like steering damage as well now, so I hope he can get back into the pits to repair it once again. At least I'd assume he's been in the pits already. So let's see, David Junt still first. Oh, and a good fight here for second at the moment between Dave Miller and Austin Johnson. Johnson showing himself in a mirror. I don't think he'll go for it into toboggan, but it could very well happen. But Dave holds on for now. Runs a little bit deep there, but keeps it on the curbing and retains his second place for now. Of course, this is also a battle between V12, or as the Ferrari engine is called, the F12. Oh, but here comes Johnson with that D8 working very well indeed up the inside. Can he keep the car? Oh, he gets back just in time to cover up off the inside for Dave Miller. So Johnson up into second, Dave Miller down to third. But Dave Miller tries to re-attack, and Johnson runs deep, outbrakes himself into Entrada a los Mixtos. Definitely a tricky corner, and Damil back up into second, and Johnson is almost looking a little bit rattled behind him now. Yannick in fourth, just giving a watching breath, and Yates has made his way up into fifth. Oh, but here comes Jan Kowalski with a late move up the inside into the Toboggan S's, and takes fifth away from David Yates for now. And Grant Vidal as well doing a really good job in that. March 701, seventh at the moment. Owen Lavach running wide there in 10th. Trying his darndest to catch up to the rest of the field. Oh, and here we have side by side between Prusha and Vidal. Senior, that is. But Ray seems quicker in the straight line. Ooh, and Prusha really early on the race. Oh, yes, I could hear Timo a little bit disappointed there.
Oh, just funny.
Oh, yeah, that's very.
I didn't touch anything because the car is undamaged.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. But hopefully you will be able to keep going and take advantage as attrition sets in. As Rio under attack by Thiago Canola, but Canola still can't find his way past his the Brabham of Rio. And Jason White, of course, one of our broadcast extraordinaires at HSO, doing a good job in 19th. After his early antics, he looks to have found his rhythm and is... Ooh, sorry Jason, I shouldn't be talking about you, that caused you to make that mistake. So let's get up to Thiago again and check out this battle. With a BT26 currently in 15th, and he is currently holding on from Adam Hackman in the Tyrrell. Now Thiago really close behind Rio. I can't help but think that Thiago will try a move up in the next corner here at Entrada a los Mixtos.
There's a car against wall on the main street.
Oh dear. I see, so Mick Chapman in the pits. Who else would be... Oh, as Rio makes a mistake, I think he may have been hit by Thiago. Thiago stays behind him at least, and David Junti the quickest lap of the race. Meanwhile, I'm just going to try and find... Well, there were Mick Chapman there. I'd assume it's Mick who's standing by the side of the road. So it looks like the battle for second is heating up, because Ryan Yannick looks to have gotten a little bit closer to the guys in front in his Lotus and pursuit of a top 3 finish. Ryan, of course, putting on some terrific efforts so far. This year, with a few very good finishes, and on the way to good finishes. I know at Portland he was on his way to finish in 4th or 5th, but a late race incident there unfortunately stopped him from scoring very good points there. But Ryan definitely has improved for this season. Good friend of Jason White as well. As we can see here, Vidra going around outside of David Saber, going towards turn 1. Saber has the inside though, he should be able to hold the position. Oh, I believe they're still just about getting out in front is Lukas Vidra there, but Saber has to run down the next straight. That 701 is very streamlined, but Vidra later on the brakes with a bit more downforce I think, and here comes Jan Pusha with a... Oh dearie me! Tried to put a move on, but broke way later than Saber. Let's see whether Ridol can take advantages. He couldn't. And Hackman has had a bit of a moment as well by the looks of things. And Thiago has finally gotten by Giandrion and can now set off after Bruno Chacon and Adam Hackman. So Hackman all sideways and stuff, but looks to be able to more or less keep the car on track for the time being. And unfortunately Mick Chapman has decided to retire from the race. Let's see if Michael Griffiths in one of the 30s, if he can be able to catch up to the group in front. As we could see there, Jason White getting all crossed up through Orkia. Not right now, but we can see here that Thiago Canola is already almost up at the rear wing of Bruno Chacon, so the own racing organization BRM is working very well around here, at least especially compared to that BT26 Brabham.
And Thiago is of course a very good driver.
Oh, for sure. But even
one of the fastest around here.
Oh, for sure. But even a good driver, I think, would struggle with that BT26. And I'd say Bruno is probably one of the better drivers at driving those lower spec cars. So it's a very impressive drive. But Thiago now looking for a good exit, and I think he'll get it here.
I've just been passed by the lead.
Okay, so traffic soon starting for the leaders. As here goes Canola up the inside, up into 16th place, as long as he can keep the car to the inside, and I think he will. He will indeed, and we can see that all the understeer that Bruno is having. He had the car almost on full lock, it looked like, to keep the car on the road. As David Junt sets another quickest lap, a 1:15.0. Very impressive stuff, as David Sabras had an off. We'll see what happened there. Oh, up in Viborita, I'd expect that to be a... Oh yep, he hit the curb just a little bit too hard, unsettled the car and put him off into the grass. As Ray and Jan Pusch are still fighting for 12th and 13th, with Lukas Vidra breaking away from him in 11th, trying to catch Peter Lavac for that top 10 position. Jason Whitehead not that far behind Boss at the moment. All of them pretty close to one another. Jan Kowalski in the Lotus in 5th. And here is still that battle for the top, not top 3, top 2 now. 3rd and 4th as Timo gets out of the way very nicely there. Let's ride on board with Brian Yannick for a few moments here, see what he can do about it. That Ferrari of Miller is up ahead. Of course, with that D12 engine in that Ferrari, he should have the advantage down the straight. We can see here on the exit of Kia how Dave just runs away from the Lotus. Dave doing a great job with that Ferrari. Able for now to keep ahead, and he's really good at putting the power down. He's a bit slow. Oh, as he runs a little bit wide there. But of course Brian had lost time already back in Liborita, so no luck there for Brian, but the American would keep trying to get past the Brit. We'll see. Back here, David Yates now making his way past Timo. As will Grant, I expect, very soon, but it looks like most of the field is stretched out a little bit now. It looks like Michael Griffith's still sort of struggling with that Surtees. As I will step away for just a moment, I'll let you ride on board with Brian Yannick, so I will be back in a few minutes' time, I think. Okay, we are back in action here as Jason White runs wide in turn 1. So unfortunately Jason has ran into more troubles. And here's Jason Whited, currently running behind Grant Vidal and trying his best to get by, but clearly this track is difficult to pass at. As Grant gets it all crossed up going through Ascari and outbrakes himself down here in his McLaren, but Jason can't quite sneak up the inside. As such stays behind for a few more moments. Just to reiterate how well Dave Miller is doing. We have Juha Boos in the second of the Ferraris up in front of us here, 7th. And he's a good 11.5, almost 12 seconds behind his teammates. Oh, as Jason tries to get as much power on as possible, gets all crossed up and instead of gaining time, loses time. Ray Riddle and Jan Pusch are still fighting over 12th and 13th. Sabre a bit further behind. Here's Hackman and Thiago Canola now running together, so Hackman has been in more trouble with that Tyrrell. As I said, it's very twitchy, so I'd expect the car has caught him out a few more times since we last saw them, as David Junt has now made his way past Brun Chacon and Jan Rion, the two Brabants. Here's in white running without his front wing. That's why he's struggling, obviously. Ooh, dearie me, that's Peter Lavac.
Dead.
Let's see if we can see what happened there. Not quite sure, but let's have a look. So Peter Lavac now 11th. Oh, that's not a place to try and get up the inside, Peter.
Yeah.
So
my fault.
No, I wouldn't say so. Peter goes for a move where it's probably not a good idea to do so. But then again, of course, he wants to try and go as quickly as possible, so he loses out and is now 11th behind Lukas Vidra. Let's see what Peter can do in terms of trying to catch back up.
I must say the attrition rate is quite low. Much lower than what I had expected this way.
Well, it's one of those those things that can catch you out. Of course, with the full.
I think only Luke has retired at this point.
Yep. And David Junt sets another fastest lap at 14.8. So he is flying in that Matra. Let's actually jump on board with him for a lap here and watch this masterclass in action. Another fastest lap from David Junt as he stretches his lead out 5 seconds over Austin Johnson. And I think that as long as that temperamental Matra engine stays alive, we'll see David Junt win this race. And still the fight is on for third between Miller and Yannick. Have one of the Gunston cars. I'd expect that's. Oh, actually, is it? Yeah, it is. I think that's Bruno Chacon up ahead of them. There it is, the BT26. Let's see if this is Yannick's opportunity to get by the Ferrari, and he goes for it. He tries to have a run. Oh, we had a thought about diving up the inside there, but decided against it. Chacon running wide there, letting the faster cars by on the exit. You can see here the difference in gearings. And here comes Yannick, he has a bit of an opportunity. Let's see if he goes for it. He tries. Ooh, Dave turning into the corner aggressively, holds the position for now. And actually has a better run over that bump towards the exit of Curva Uno as well, and into Ascari. Dave a little bit wide, but cuts back for a good run towards the hairpin. Oh, but Yannick trying up the inside. Oh, just a tiny bit of contact there, I think, but I believe Dave will hold on for now. A great drive by both of them at the moment. Oh, wait. First, second, third, what? Where's Austin gone? Austin Johnson is down to... Oh, now he's second. He must have missed a timing beacon or something. Oh, that had me scared. For his sake, more than my own, but still. As now Austin Johnson goes up the inside of Timo. Nice and textbook lapping there. And the fight's still on for fourth, as I noticed Jason White has unfortunately retired from the race. We'll see Brian really close now, going into Orkia. Goes up the inside. Oh, I believe there may have been a little bit of contact. But he's up into third. Now Dave Miller will look to try and counter-attack. That dirty air really putting Dave in trouble. He actually lost time through turn 1. Very crossed up by the looks of things in Ascari, but closes in, I believe, just a little bit here. And it does look like Yannick is quicker. He has pulled a bit of a gap on this lap, partly due to the dirty air, but he was quicker down on the infield as well. So unfortunately, it looks like for Dave and Mrs. Miller that Dave has been thoroughly relegated to 4th. And now Jan Kowalski closing in as well. So looks like Dave may be struggling a little bit with tyre wear. Now halfway through the race. But Peter Lavac has gotten back up into 10th, gotten by Lukas Vidra. So that's a good recovery from Peter. Jan Pusha has gotten rid of Ray Riddle. I wonder if Ray may have made a slight mistake somewhere. As David Sabre has lost out to Thiago Canola, so Canola up into 14th, and Adam Hackman looking to get to grips with David Sabre's march as well. They look very slow off for Kia. Ooh, Sabre runs really deep into Curva Uno, and behind him I think is race leader. No, it isn't. It's Austin Johnson behind him now. now Austin goes up inside Adam Hackman, and Saber running wide as well. Presumably he'll let Johnson go as well, and the fight for 15th can continue. And Peter Lavach lost out again to Lukas Vidra, so Vidra is retaking 10th. Now obviously Peter will look to try and regain his top 10 position. As we can see, someone has ran deep, very deep into the Entrada a los Miklos. Now into Ombo, and we can see that Peter closing in ever so consistently on Lukas Vidra in the McLaren. As Peter gets very crossed up, almost hits the rear of Vidra, and Vidra gains a bit of a gap again. So I wonder if it's down to Peter making mistakes that is allowing Lukas to pass him again. We can see through turn 1 and 2 that Vidra ain't no slouch. He's doing a good job with that McLaren. Actually opening up a bit of a distance between himself and Peter. Oh, but Lavach really quick through Viborita. Notice also on the timing board that it looked closer than it seems right here. So Timo getting out of the way of Juha Boss and that Ferrari, with all wanting to get by as well. And Jason White that has dropped back from the Brit. David Saber still holding on ahead of Adam Hackman. Michael Griffiths now right behind Bruno Chacon. As Chacon gets it really crossed up through Turva Uno, all the way through he was having troubles getting the power down. Griffiths now with a bit of a run. Let's see if he can make use of it. Doesn't look like it. So Ryan Yannick has gotten past the battle between Sabre and Hackman, and now Dave Miller will have to try and do the same. And Canola now closing up on Ray again, I think. At least it looked like it through that little section of the track. Lavac currently struggling to keep up with Lukas by the looks of things. Oh, really crossed up towards the exit of Curva Uno. Grant with all understeering there. Again, Grant understeering. So Grant losing grip in the front end, partly down to it being a 701 with lacking downforce, and partly I think due to Grant driving the car very hard to try and keep it up there in the top 10 at this very moment. So unfortunately it looks like most of the field is spread out, with David Junt still in the lead, making good use of that Matra, but of course as Jason mentioned, and I believe I mentioned earlier as well, that engine is very prone to blowing itself to smithereens, so...
Yeah, I think in the regular championship we did last year, the Matra blew at least out of 2 races.
I think was Yves Placet, the Frenchman driving for the French team, and I agree with you. I believe he actually blew the engine 4 or 5 times during the whole championship. So
yeah, he was really having new Pope ambitions that season.
Indeed so. So there's actually a big gap between Vidra and Whited, and right now Peter Lavac is again right behind the McLaren. So Lavac possibly letting his tires cool for a moment, regain their composure, and he's back at it. Oh, he runs a little bit wide coming out of Curva Uno though, drops a bit further behind. But seemingly struggling slightly with the same kind of issues Grant Vidal is trying to work around, with a lot of understeer in the car. Ooh, and really sideways through there. Really dancing the car on the throttle, trying to eke out everything he can to get past Lukas Vidra. Oh, and again really sideways, just about keeps it on the curb, but loses out half a second or so to the McLaren through there. And again, he looked very, very sideways. So you can't blame Peter for not trying, but I think the car difference between that March 701 and the McLaren M17A is starting to show itself a little bit. Sorry, not even M17, M19A is starting to show itself a little bit.
Well, it hurts me to say it, Jonathan, but I think I have been lapped by the entire field.
Not quite, I don't think. You have one more car to lap you in that case.
I think Bruno and Michael Griffith just went by.
Yep, but Jan Rion is still in the race in the second of the Brabhams, and he hasn't lapped you yet, so you still have one car to go.
Well, he'll be fast now then.
Oh dear. Well, at least it looks like you haven't hit anything solid, so that's positive.
It's just the tires are completely dirty now.
Yep, but at least you didn't hit anything solid, so you can keep going.
Yeah, the car isn't damaged.
Let's see if there's any battles looking to be started. Looks a little bit like there won't be, but actually I believe Jan Prusha is catching up a little bit to the cars in front in the form of Peter Lavac and Lukas Vidra, so there could still be a battle for the top 10 finishes.
Well, with Raw being the only car behind me, this is not a fine day for the Belgian.
Well, there's still race 2 to go. Could be a better race there for you as a Belgian, and your countryman Johan Boos is doing very fine job, I believe, still sitting 7th in the Ferrari. As we can clearly see that Jan is a tad bit quicker than Peter, so battle for 11th should be on in the next few laps. As Jan just did his fastest lap of the race, so clearly Prusha is trying his darndest to try and catch up to Peter Lavac here. Well, of course, the one downside Jan has, I believe he's in the 18, he is. That's the Adam Adamovich machine. He's running the Alfa Romeo Tifo 33 engine, which is considerably down on power to most things on the grid. Oh, as he runs very wide into turn 1. Onto the grass he goes, but he misses and everything is solid. Has to be careful on the rejoin here as Ryan Yannick flies by. But Jan holds on and can continue to fight. Try to re-catch Peter Lavach.
I guess for tires.
I'm certainly trying to find... So Whited into the pits. I wonder if he's pitting for fuel or tires here. It certainly looks like he's taking on fuel. At least no tire change going on from what I can see. He looks to be revving up and be set to go. And he does, as he drops to 10th and soon to 11th and 12th. There he goes, I think, or at least 11th, possibly 12th before he gets out, so there he goes down into 12th, so that's a fuel stop for Jason Whiten. Must have made a mistake with the fuel calculations in the team. He's down to 13th as he drops behind Thiago Canola, so that's a bitter blow for Whiten, who was up in the points, I think, just outside waiting for someone to have trouble, so that's unfortunate for him, as I believe that was Michael Griffiths off the road. It will have been. His tires are completely covered in muck. So as Timo mentioned, the track is more tricky than it would seem at first glance. Very much reminds me of Curitiba in that way. The Brazilian track having mid and high speed corners, layout wise seeming very easy, but the only easy thing is to go off the road, as we can see Jason Whited here trying to regain the positions, running wide, coming out of Toboggan. Looks like David has actually backed off a tiny bit here. Not by much, but he hasn't increased his gap that much since we last saw him, so he may be considerate about the engine in his car.
Yeah,
David
is
Dave Miller runs wide, coming into Entrada Los Mixtos and loses 5th position. Sorry, 4th position as he tries to regain control of the car. So yeah, just brakes a bit too late on the marbles, trying to get the power down, and the car switches ends on him. Very unfortunate for Dave, but I don't think he will be too far behind. Well, it's actually 2.5 seconds, so he lost a lot of time regaining the grey stuff. But he has a big gap to the next car, so presumably he'll be good to go. When all crossed up is Peter Lavach, let's have a ride on board with him as he tries to go through Curva Uno here. A lot of lock on. As he gets the power on, the car goes sideways on him, he tries to regain again. Really having to work that 701. Oh, and he's a bit crossed up again. As Canola now ain't too far behind. Was Grant Ridol is out? Grant is out. Whatever happened here? Oh, that looks like a possible blown engine. Because there's no real issues to report. Let's see if that's the case. Yeah, must be a blown engine. As soon as he changes gears there, the engine loses life, sound, and there it goes. So unfortunately, Grant with all out after a stirring drive with this 701. He pushed it just a bit too far. And Peter Lavach off the road as well. Looks like he still has engine, but looks like he's pulling over, and he retires as well. Wow. Let's see, going into Ascari, and he just runs wide and looks like he gives up. Very strange situation. As David Saber and Ray Ridol is close to one another once again. And Canola now in 10th and attacking Jan Pusha for 9th. As they both have traffic behind them as well. Oh, and a lovely switchback. If he can make it work, it looks like he will. Pusha trying to hold on around outside. They're still side by side on the exit. Prusa should have a bit of a run here, but now let's see if Prusa does the cutback. Oh, he's certainly trying for it. When he dives up the inside, maybe a little bit of contact there, but Prusa dives back up the inside of Canola, retakes 9th position. And here comes Dave Miller now in 4th, so... Oh, and side by side, oh dearie me, oh, hold on to it, Jan, hold on, oh dearie me, spins right into the path of Jan Kowalski. And now he is invited up into top 10. As Jan Pusha tries to retake the position. Oh, he's really aggressive into that part of the track, and Jason White backs out of it, lets him back past. Teammates, of course, but that looked very scary indeed. Still the fight is going on between the March boys. Jan Pusha looking for the outside run as Whited goes up the inside. Oh, and there's contact between the teammates. And clear me. March Engineering won't... top guys won't like that. But of course it is for a top 10. So I suppose it's somewhat expected that there is a bit of fighting going on for that. It looks like Prusa is now pulling away from Jason White, if only a little bit. As Canola, I think, got out of the way of the quicker guys there. As Dave Miller still trying to get to grips with Jan Kowalski. Dave having to be so careful with that V12 engine. Going through Curva Uno. Too much throttle, too much power on, and he is probably liable to have wheel spin, and that's of course not what you want in that particular corner. So we can see here he has closed up on Jan here, so that could still, oh, as he runs a little bit deep into Ombodo. Both of these guys working really hard, Kowalski in the Lotus and Dave Miller in the Ferrari. Looks like David Junt has indeed very much backed off, but he has gained another 1.5 seconds by the looks of things on Austin Johnson in second. Johnson of course knows he doesn't need to do anything over aggressive. If he finishes second in this event, he will gain a lot of points on the other guys. Seeing as Peter Lavac closest behind is we tied from this race, and I believe the next closest in the gold star is David Yates, and he's down in sixth. Oh, and Dave now really close to Jan. Have the feeling that Dave is running a bit more wing than what set up for the quicker parts of the track, I should say, compared to Kowalski. You see here getting up really nice and close to Jan Kowalski, running a little bit wide though, loses a little bit of time. Oh, but Jan all crossed up. This could be the opportunity for Dave. He has a go for it, but can't quite make it work, and he gives Jan a bit of a bump for good measure. Not sure he should try to go for that, considering he gave him a bump, but Jan with a good couple of gear changes drives away. Into curve now we go again. I believe this is the second to last lap. So one more lap after this for David Miller to try and take fourth away from Jan. When Dave dives for it down into Entrada, did he really make that work? I think he did. That is a fantastic pass by Dave. Up into fourth he goes, and let's see if he can hold on to that position until the end. That was one fantastic pass right there. Let's see, just gets up the inside, slightly locked up, but he's able to get the car stopped and blocks Jan from doing the cutback, and he takes fourth. Really nice pass there. As David Junt has started his last lap of the first heat of this event, as he gets by Michael Griffiths in the second of the 30s. Michael Griffiths clearly haven't enjoyed that 30s in this first heat, but hopefully he'll have a better run in the next one, now knowing that what he needs to do to get it to work better. But David Junt in the Matra, the French equipped Matra sports team, will be very happy with his drive tonight, and so will David, for he will have an 11 or 12 second margin to work with to win this event. But the first heat, the first race, goes to David Junt in the Matra. Congratulations, David, that's a tremendous drive. And an average lap time of 103.3 miles per hour. That's very impressive around here. As here comes Austin Johnson to finish second. Third will be Brian Yannick with a great drive for Lotus. Fourth, Jan Kowalski. Now what has happened to Dave Miller? What? When? Oh dear me, it looks like there was contact. Oh, during a lapping there was contact. Oh dear me. Oh, Dave Miller still finishes fourth, so Jan Kowalski felt he took the position unfavorably and let Dave finish fourth. That's very sporting of Jan Kowalski to say the least. So Kowalski finishes 5th, David Yates 6th. 7th for looks to be Juha Boss. 8th looks to be Lukasz Vidra. 9th for Tiago Canola, so great drive from last on the grid. 10th will be Jan Pusha. 11th for Jason Whited. 12th for Adam Hackman, a good drive with that unfriendly, I think I should be able to put that Tyrrell. 13th for Avery Doll, 14th for David Saber. 15th for Bruna Chacon, a good drive with that BT26. 16th for Michael Griffiths. 17th for Jan Rio in the second of the Brabants. 18th for Timo, so despite a few issues here and there, a decent starting position for race 2. 19th for Lavach, 20th Grant Riddle, 21st Jason White, and Mick Chapman finishes 22nd. As we will now have a bit of a break before race 2, so until then we will also go on a bit of a break for the broadcast, so we'll be back in a few minutes time ahead of race 2 of this Buenos Aires F171 Gold Star event. Okay, so we are back here at Buenos Aires, Argentina for the second heat of this two-heat F1 1971 race event. Another 50 laps to go, about an hour to cover the 50 laps. And David Junt in the Equipped Motorsports took race 1 with about 12 seconds to Austin Johnson. So David Junt definitely looking good for top points in the Gold Star Cup. We are about 2.5 minutes approximately away from that second heat. And unfortunately, Peter Lavac's retirements in race 1 was due to real life getting in the way. But of course, real life comes first in the virtual motor world, so hopefully it's nothing too major and he will be able to be back for our next event on Wednesday. I'm sorry, Timo, go ahead.
No. I just want to ask whether it's really so that real life trades on virtual racing. I've missed that somewhere.
Well, well, I do know you missed races, haven't you, because of real life, so I don't think you completely missed it. Okay, so let's get it on your screen. There we go. Race 2 I'd say about 2 minutes away from starting here, as we have warming up on the grid and the formation lap to go before the race goes green.
And this grid offers something very exclusively, and something that will probably never be seen again. Me standing in front of Grant.
You're probably not wrong in that being a rare occasion, but race 2 will have the starting order of the finishing order of race 1. So David Junt will be on pole, Austin Johnson will be second, Ryan Yannick will be third, Dave Miller fourth, Jan Kowalski fifth, David Yates will be sixth, seventh will be Juha Bos, eighth Lukas Vidra, ninth Thiago Canola, 10th Jan Prusha, 11th Jason Whited, 12th Adam Hackman, 13th Ray Riddle, 14th David Saber, 15th Bruno Chacon, 16th Michael Griffiths, 17th Gerard Rion. Timo Vermeersch, who's also our in-car voice for the race, will start 18th. 19th will be Grant Riddle in the Curie Bonnier McLaren. 20th will be Jason White in the Works McLaren. 21st, and I believe last on the grid, will be Mick Chapman, because unfortunately Peter Lavach won't be able to race in race 2 due to a family matter. As David Junt now gets up towards his starting position on the grid. There we go, and we are just waiting for the last few cars to be lining up. Right at the back we can see number 24 Timo Vermeersch lining up, and number 12 Jason White. Now in position, and 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and the green lights is on, and away we go for heat number 2. And looks like David Junt has had a stonker of a start, leading the field into turn 1. Looks like Dave Miller looking for second into turn 1. Oh, and there's a bit of contact at the back, I think. Oh, there's someone running wide indeed. That's David Saber, unfortunately, off into the gravel. Hopefully he'll hit nothing that is too hard, and looks like everyone else has more or less gotten away from the grid. As we can see, Austin Johnson in second, Brian Yannick going for third but spins. I think he may have been hit by Juha Bos on the rejoin there. We can see Grant Riddle running wide in Entrada a los Mixtos, so he drops further back than he would have wanted. And David Saber just at the back of the grid, but still going. There we go, I think we are back going, so we'll just quickly get the white and finish flag off. There we go. So David Junt leads 1.5 seconds ahead of Austin Johnson, who will dearly want to try and do something about that. Dave Miller trying to go around outside of Jan Kowalski for third. Can't quite make it work there, but maybe he'll have a run through Ascari and into Entrada a los Mixtos. Oh, Kowalski all crossed up. That could be an opportunity for Dave Miller. Not quite, but he gets really close up behind. And it's Ryan Yannick, and then a gap to Jan Prusha, who has climbed from, I believe, 11th to 6th on the opening lap. Canola 7th, Vidra 8th, Jason Whited in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 for now is Ray Riddle. Rio climbed to 11th, Bruno Chacon 12th, Hackman 13th, Jason White climbed to 14th from 20th. Vermeersch in 15th, so team has climbed a few positions as well from his 18th start finishing position. As unfortunately I caused him to spin, I'm very sorry. Oh!
Shit.
I'm really sorry, Timo, I shouldn't have spoken about you then.
Oh no, I think I wrecked somebody else's way.
Unfortunately, David Saber is out of the race as well.
Yeah, I think I wrecked him.
Well, partly, but I mean it's very tricky to have someone spin in front of you anyway, so unfortunately Timo and David Saber both out of the race on lap 2. And Michael Griffith is still trying to regain positions. Juha Boos has dropped to 18th. David Yates is down in 17th, so those two have been in troubles. And Dave Miller down in 16th as well. So many drivers in troubles here as Dave Miller now goes up the inside of Mick Chapman at Ascari to get up to 15th. And now right behind, I believe that's Grant Ridol actually in the M7A McLaren. So this ought to be a good battle. Let's ride on board with Dave for a while. As we can see up ahead, Adam Hackman spinning. I believe he may have had a bit of a coming together with Adrio in the Brabham as Grant Ridol makes a bit of a mistake and Dave Miller is able to take 13th away from him. And Jason White will be very happy to run 12th, but he outbrakes himself unfortunately and then drops back, and here comes Grant Ridol up the inside of Dave Miller, seen from Jason White's car now. But Dave Miller using that V12 putting that V12 to good use. Still with a run round outside, this could be interesting going into Curva Uno. I always think that the turn starts earlier than it does. A bit of contact in the middle of the turn, but Dave Miller runs wide actually. Drops back behind Jason White. Oh, and David Yates takes advantage as well. Mick Chapman in the Frank Williams March is also trying to find a way past. Someone slightly outbrakes themselves. David Yates trying to go around to the outside of Jason White. All of them outbraking themselves, and there goes Juha Boos up the inside in the second of the Ferraris. So very hectic back here for the lower positions, trying to regain positions up towards the front. As Dave Miller goes up the inside of Jason White, I think that was indeed, and now David Yates trying to look for a way past as well, and Jason White unfortunately runs wide, and that allows Juha Boos past as well. Big Chapman with that 701 trying to get closer, but Dirty Air is really troublesome for the 701. Jason White actually got by Juha Boos in Curva Uno, so Jason White putting on a good drive here. But here comes Juha up the inside. Jason slightly locks up. Mick Chapman trying to take advantage, can't quite manage that. A bit further up, David Yates is trying to make his way up the field, as is Dave Miller. Now back behind Grant Ridol. Both of them behind Adrio in the Brabham, running 11th, 12th and 13th. And Dave Miller very smartly being very careful. Adrio very forceful in his defensive work there, but Grant Ridol finds his way past, and I would expect Dave Miller, despite both of them running V12s, I think at least the Brabham runs V12 power as well. I think Dave Miller should be able to get by right here. Oh, actually there's contact, oh dear me, that'll be big. So unfortunately both of them are out of this race. Not quite sure what happened then, but let's see if we can catch what happened on the replay. As I think more or less both of them tried to look for the same piece of road, and as unfortunately didn't work out for either of them. And Adam Hackman on his recovery drive currently 16th. But out in front with a 2.5 second lead is David Junt, putting that mantra to very, very good use indeed. Austin Johnson is second with Jan Kowalski third and Brian Yannick fourth. So the two Lotus boys in a fight between each other, I think. Jan Plusha running fifth at the moment with Thiago Canola right behind him. And then we have Lucas Vidra and Jason Whited not that far behind either. And then there's Ray Riddle running in ninth. So let's see what the March 711 can do against that M19A McLaren. Going up ahead we can also see Canola trying to get up inside of Jan Plusha 711.
Well, I think I'm gonna grab a beer, Jonathan.
Oh, I can understand that. Oh, as Jason Whitey dives up the inside. Vidra and Whited off the road, both of them losing a position to Ray Riddle. That was very, very audacious by Jason Whited. Well, I think it may have been that he was just high to begin with, and there was not much he can do when he was on the grass. So Grant Riddle currently running 10th, Bruno Chacon 11th, David Yates trying to get a hold of them in 12th, Joab Bose 13th, Jason White 14th with Mick Chapman and Adam Hackman right behind him. Owen White running a little bit wide there, Mick Chapman up right behind him, and Hackman with that very Larry Tyrrell trying to not crash to begin with and then make a position at the same time. Definitely not an easy proposition. David Yates still can't find his way past Bruno Chacon's Brabham. Oh, but here he should have a run.
I'm going to wish you a very good evening, Jonathan, and thank you again for broadcasting. Top job again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. See you later, and sorry about your retirement.
No worries. My mistake. My mistake.
Well, that's Timo Vermeersch heading off for a consolation drink. Lucas Vidra now behind Jason Whited, so Whited has made his way past, and now he will try to get up to and past Ray Riddle. Riddle lose. And also Jan Prusch has lost out to Thiago Canola. So unfortunately it looks like we have a bit more gap between the cars in this race than we had in race 1. Jan Prusch running very, very wide indeed, but gathers it back up towards the exit. But here we have Ray Riddle with Jason Whited right behind him. Unfortunately that's 701, lacking a bit of downforce, especially compared to the newer March, so I think Jason White will probably make... oh, actually not! Ray Riddle breaks very late and holds the position in Entrada a los Mixtos through Viborita and Ombo. And now right behind them I think was, well, both Grant Riddle and Lucas Vidra closing in. As David Junt this early on does a 14.6. Blistering lap time this early on in the race, enjoying a 4-second lead over Austin Johnson. Always there are 3 together up in front of us here. Grant Riddle doing his best with the M7A to close in as well. Ooh, as I believe Grant may have missed a gear then. Those were some high revs. As you can see up ahead, I think that's Whitey trying for the cutback by Ray Riddle. I think he may have the overlap. Oh, Ray really late into that corner holds on for now. Vidra keeping a watching brief. Grant pushing the car to the limit to catch up, and he will probably do so towards the end of this lap. As here we are, he's now right up behind them. Here at another 2 corners, and he'll be right under that wing of the McLaren up ahead. As here's Whited gets it just a little bit wide on the exit there. But here we are now 4 for 7th between Ray Riddle, Whited, Vidra and Grant Riddle. And only a second to, I'd assume that would be David Yates indeed behind in 11th, so soon to be 5 cars fighting for 7th position. As Whited looks up the inside, Ray Riddle going into Curva Uno, can't quite make it work. As Grant running very tight there, trying to get some air on his front wing. Looks like it will have worked. Here comes Jason Whited up the inside of Ray again. Not quite able to make it work. A little bit wide. Oh, and a bit of a lock up from Ray up ahead. Ray really under pressure here. Vidra seemingly a little bit under pressure as well as he runs wide. This is Grant's opportunity to get up into 9th position, and it looks like he is able to do so. As he gets a little bit wide though. And here is David Yates as well, right behind Lucas Vidra. So 5 for 7th in this race, as Yates has a little bit of a run, but I think that McLaren is probably a little bit more nimble with a V8 engine in the back compared to the V12 in the Owen Racing VRM. White is now on the outside going into turn 1. That could work a lot better with a much better cutback, and we can see the Yates having to work the car quite hard. White is not quite able to make it work around outside. Vidra a little bit wide here. This could open up for Yates for a dive. No, not quite. Whited locks up. Oh, Vidra runs wide towards the apex though. Oh, Yates all sideways and crossed up, but gets by Vidra on the exit. So Yates up into 11th. And all of this battling is allowing Buenos in the Ferrari to catch up as well. So soon 6 cars fighting for 7th. Ray Riddle in the 701 March, able to hold on for now. As long as he is first in the queue, I think it'll be tricky for the others to get by. Because he's not too incredibly slow compared to the others when he has clean air. It's when in traffic that the 701 struggles a lot. It wouldn't surprise me if he has that car trimmed out a little bit as well. Now we have up ahead, it looks like a group of cars. Ray Riddle running wide though. This is White's opportunity. And here comes Grant Riddle as well with a run. Tries to look up the inside of Jason White. It can't quite make it work. But it's up the inside of Ray Riddle. Oh, and Ray under pressure from Yates as well. When up ahead, that was Jan Prusa running wide. So Jan Prusa loses out as well. Rejoins right beside David Yates. Yates trying to go around outside of him, he does. So it's now a fight for 6th, with White at the front of the group. Ray Riddle somewhat in the middle of it. Now back on board with Lucas Vidra, looking at this tremendous battle. And I noticed that another second has been gained by Buenos, so it will be a 7-car train here very soon. Here comes Vidra going around outside of Jan Prusa down the straight. Of course, Jan Prusa running that Alfa Romeo not as quick as the Fords down the straights. as was shown very clearly there. It looks like both as Ray Riddle goes sideways off the road. So unfortunately for him, he drops to 11th, possibly soon 12th. But depending on if you dives for it or not, he does. So up the inside Juha goes and Ray lets him go. So Ray down to 12th. Here's Jan Prusha trying to attack Vidra. 9th. Not quite able to make that work, and Grant Riddle still behind Jason Whited, so I wonder if Yates will be able to catch both of them. Very much a possibility with that V12 powering him along the straights. White that is really wide in turn 1. That could be Grant's opportunity. I think it is. Yep, he's passed Jason Whited up into 6th position. Let's see if Whited can counter-attack. No, he's wide again. So it's more under pressure now from David Yates rather than being able to re-pass Grant Riddle. Wide again. I think he's trying just a little bit too hard to be quick in the middle of the corners. Obviously that March is a well-handling car, but even that car can't go 10 kilometers quicker than any other car in the middle of the corner. 3 or 4 possibly, but not 5 and more, I don't think. Let's see what the BRM V12 can do against the Ford Cosworth engine in that March, and it looks very even down the straight. You can see that right on the slide is Jason White. That looks fantastic. Working incredibly hard. When David Yates pushing just a little bit too hard on the throttle, gets the car sideways and loses a lot of time to the cars in front. This PRM, of course, that he's using, the P153, a little bit heavier than the cars in front, so he has to work the car harder to get the same lap time out in the infield. Though of course that V12 should help him down the straights. Have a look up the front of the field, see how they are going. David Junt enjoying a 2.2 second lead, 2.3 second lead at the moment. I think he's more or less pacing himself. That's a 15.2, half a second more or less of his best lap time. Austin only 3/10 of his best lap time, but more or less the same lap time between the two of them, so I do believe David is just pacing himself, saving that temperamentful engine in that Matra. Ryan Yannick running 3rd for Lotus. The Team Lotus will be happy with a 3rd and 4th place at the moment, which is probably going to be around a 2nd and 3rd position, 3rd and 4th position in the aggregate standings as well, with a big gap that is back to Thiago Canola in 5th at the moment. And further behind still, driving the car very hard indeed at M7A, being put through all kinds of movements and pressure in 6th, Grant Rideau. 7th for Jason White still with David Yates behind him. 9th for Lukas Vidra, more or less where he finished overrunning most of race 1, I should say. I think he finished 8th. And then it's Juha Boos for Ferrari in 10th. Not entirely sure what happened on the opening couple of laps for the 2 Ferraris, but they were off at the back of the field, as were many others. Ray Rideau running in 11th with Jan Prusa in that Alfa Romeo powered March in 12th. 13th currently is Bruno Chacon in the Jan Love Motors Team Gunston Brabham BT26. 14th is Adam Hackman in the Tyrrell Racing car, having to work the car very hard to keep it on the track at all by the looks of things. 15th is Jason White trying to catch up to the Tyrrell ahead. They are all a lap down by the looks of things, because that's 3rd place Brian Yannick. And Mick Chapman currently running 16th, who retired very early on in race 1, but getting some drive time here, which is nice to see. And off the road currently is Michael Griffiths in 17th. Oh, he was off quite early on here. He may even have stole the car. Let's see, going into... Oh, he missed a gear. Oh, we're getting really close to the tires there, but not hitting anything solid, so he will be rejoining the race shortly, I think. Going off in the middle of Toboggan through a slight mistake with the shifting, but there he is, back running. 17th. And unfortunately last of our runners, with Dave Miller, Gerard Riot, Timo Vermeersch and David Saber all out of the race. David Junt actually losing time to Austin Johnson. I wonder if it's due to how the traffic has worked, or if there's actually some trouble for David Junt. He does a 15.2 while Austin Johnson does a 14.9, so Austin is definitely driving quickly. Yes, and why is David Yates still running along with one another? I believe Lukas Vidra may have made a slight mistake, because he's quite way behind Juha Boos now and has Ray Rideau for close company. So it's M19A McLaren versus 701 March. Vidra versus Ray Rideau. When Lukas sideways going through Toboggan into Orkia. Vidra seemingly holding on for now. David Yates a bit further behind, so let's jump back to Ray Rideau. We have Jan Prusa out of the race. Whatever happened there? It looks like he has decided to retire, has he? He seems to pull into the pits with no major issues. The engine still running somewhat okay, but yeah, it looks like Jan Prusa decides to retire from the race. So that means Michael Griffiths will get up into 16th. Chapman seemingly closing in on Jason White. So let's actually get on to live screen as well, and yep, Chapman right behind Jason White now for 14th and 15th. Here comes Mick Chapman, a good run through Curva Uno. Has to run down this straight, but can't quite get close enough to that M14. Into that, but here he goes into Entrada a los Mixtos. Looks like he's up and past. So nice textbook maneuver there from Mick Chapman, but Jason White looks to try and retake the position here. Ooh, a little bit too optimistic into the corner though, runs wide. Unfortunately drops a bit of time. Looks like Thiago Canola and Juha Boos still running now in the top 10. Ray Redol a little bit further behind Lukas Vidra at this time. Looks like, as I said earlier, the difficulty with the 701 is running in traffic. Oh, and Thiago Canola actually in the pits. Whatever for? Looks to be fuel only. No, it's actually tires. I wonder if Thiago ended up on an older set of tires, and that's why he feels the need to change the tires at this halfway point of the race. But surely he will lose out way too much to make that work. Because he now drops to 13th, 10 seconds behind Adam Hackman. They're still ahead of Jason White and Mick Chapman, so Mick Chapman has had a bit of a moment somewhere. Dropping back behind Jason White again, but Thiago Canola, yeah, I'm not sure, it must have been old tires or something on his car. But oh well, he's 13th, Adam Hackman down up into 12th, Bruno Chacon up into 11th. Ray Redol now running inside the top 10, still trying to get to grips with Lukas Vidra up ahead of him. Actually a quicker lap time for Ray than Lukas that time round. Juha Boos there running wide in his Ferrari in the pursuit of David Yates in 7th. Looks like David Yates is struggling with the car, now 7th, and Jason White looks to be pulling away from him. Grant Medall now running 5th with Thiago pitting. And of course we have Jan Kowalski, Brian Yannick 4th and 3rd, with Johnson 2nd, and not really gaining more on Junt, so I'm fairly sure David Junt is just pacing the car to be able to last the distance. I'm terribly sorry, Mrs. Dave. That was not meant to happen. I hope you had a few more in the pan so you could still have a fill of dinner. As you can see here on track, Lukas Vidar looks to have settled down into a pace where he can stay, and it looks like Ray can't quite follow. As we can see here, David Jund working the Matra very well and without any major issues by the looks of things, still staying ahead with soon to be 20 laps to go. I just noticed that Lukas Vidra and Ray Vidolas closed up once again, so let's get back on board with the March 701. As he tries to get to grips with the McLaren. That reminds me that a friend of HSO has had a bit of work on the modding side and possibly sorted out that sort of clipping sound that we can hear every now and then at higher revs, so I will come back to him, ask him, well, he sent me that over the messaging service, so I'll get that to the modding team, see if we can sort that out for the future. Thank you very much to Joshua who did that work and just not remembered to sort that out. If he's watching, it will be sorted out after this event, hopefully. But yeah, back to the action. We still have Ray Redol behind Lucas Vidra. Vidra pulling away down the straight, so either he has the car a bit more trimmed out than what Ray does. Ray, of course, with that Josipet Automobiles car, maybe running a slightly older Ford Cosworth engine, which could of course also accommodate for the slightly lacking pace down the straights. I also noticed just now that Jason Whiter has dropped behind Ray Redol, caught up to Ray Redol. I think that's more a case of catching up. And David Yates ain't too far behind either, so this race for 5th could still be on. Oh, but Jason having to work so much and trying to get power down. So many attempts to get the throttle on, and he still got sideways on the exit. Car really squirmy. That closes up on Grant at Entrada a los Mixtos. But really sideways at Hombo. You want to be smooth, and Grant is putting on a grand slam show of that up ahead of us. Seemingly four-wheel drifting everywhere. There, he's a bit too early on the throttle though. That said, Jason White was fairly early on the throttle as well and got a little bit sideways. And Grant now trying to break the draft. So protecting the inside, into Curva Uno we go. In the fight for 5th. As David Yates seems to have made a slight mistake, dropped back a couple of seconds, but the fight here is on. Jason White with a run. Looking up the inside there, but can't quite make it work. Let's see if he can find a good run towards the exit and a run up into this hairpin. Not this time around. Oh, and that's Michael Griffiths spinning on the exit of Canchon. Oh, and Grant making a mistake. Off the road he goes. This should be Jason White diving up the inside, who is actually very sporting. Doesn't go for it all out. Grant a bit sideways on the exit, but Jason being very careful in the draft here though, so he should be able to close in. Let's see if he can make a move into turn 1, before he actually tries for the outside. Oh, and a bit too wide towards the exit, really squirmy. Trying to get power down. But clearly both of them going all out for this 5th position. Of course, that 711 that Jason White drives has a very peculiar front wing, and it was affectionately known as the T-tray because of the way it assembles the high-uppers, butlers and maids coming in with a T-tray to the fancy people. At least that's how I picture that kind of T-tray looking, but I could of course be wrong, but hey ho. As Jason White had made a bit of a mistake on that lap, dropped back about a second. Ray Redol still trying to get by Lucas Vidra or keep up. Thiago Canola has made his way up into 11th, as here is Adam Hackman not braking himself. Dear me. So yeah, brakes himself, trying to get to grips with Bruno Chacon. So Bruno holds on to 12th for now. Yes, Thiago Canola of course 11th. Now going to try and hunt after Ray Riddle, but that's 38 seconds to gain. I'm not sure that's going to be possible. Really sideways in the background, I noticed David Yates were. Well, it looks like in clean air that the March is working a little bit better than that M7A. Of course, with that said, it ain't easy to get past on this track, so I think Yates will have to work very hard to get a... Oh, as Grant misses another gear. White had all crossed up going through that corner. That's one of the things that works 711 March does very well indeed. It's very controllable on a slide. Not sure about this M7A, because I have no personal experience of driving the car, but at least in Grant's hands it seems to be working very well. It looks to be very balanced. Both of them, by the looks of things, at the top of their game right here, fighting for 5th. White now looking up the inside this time. And trying to have as good run as he can. It looks like he has done a good job this time. Fairly close, so he should have an opportunity up into Entrada a los Mixtos as they go through Ascari. He's a little bit too wide or a little bit too sideways and drops back. Grant really smooth and really controlled on the throttle there, gains pretty much 2 or 3 columns on the exit of Mixtos. Oh, and a bit of a grass was Grant there. That means he will be a bit slower. And Jason on the queue closes up. Looks like David Junt has finally eked out the gap. I'm not sure if that's down to traffic or whatever has gone on there, but it's now 12 seconds first to second. As White now up the inside, looking to try and eke up the inside. He has clean air though, he should have a good run. And here he comes. Will he go for it? No, he doesn't. He backs off again, looking for a run through the corner, very sideways though. Grant's McLaren obviously set up for very smooth running through Ascari. It certainly looks like Grant is way stronger in the infield. So I wonder if Jason Whitehead's March is set up for the outer areas of the track. As there goes Grant, eking out another 4/10 in Orkia. Jason closing in just a little bit down the straight. Grant running wide in Curva Uno, but getting a good cutback towards the exit. Ray and Lucas still running together. I think Ray may be getting very frustrated with seeing that McLaren ahead of him. But about 10 laps to go at the end of this race. David Junt is still in the lead for the equipped Matra Sport team. Second Austin Johnson, third for Brian Yannick, fourth for Jan Kowalski, quite a ways behind his teammate now. Fifth is Grant Riddle in a fight with Jason Whited, but Jason Whited has been held up by Bruno Chacon by the looks of things, has dropped 2 seconds behind Grant Riddle now. So for our enjoyment of watching battles, that Jason Whited will put on a Peterson drive and catch back up. David Yates 7th, Juha Boos 8th in his Ferrari, seemingly not able to catch up to the BRM ahead. Lukas Vidra 9th, and Ray Riddle obviously 10th still. And then we have Thiago Canola 11th, Adam Hackman 12th, Bruno Chacon 13th, Chapman 14th, Jason White 15th, Michael Griffiths running out of runners in 16th. As we can see here, Ray Riddle has a blue flag. But for now trying to get on with Lukas, not able to do so. That's Brian Yannick, third place man behind him. And here comes Yannick, flying past down the straight. Let's see if Ray Riddle will be able to make use of this traffic to get by Lukas Vidra, as Vidra has to, or chooses to let Yannick by here. Ooh, and Vidra very sideways there. This could be the opportunity for Ray. Sadly for the Brit it's not. And he stays behind the Czech man for now. Oh, Jason Whited has had an even bigger moment somewhere. He's now behind David Yates. I'll just have a quick look to see if we can find where that happened. Oh, we had a spin off turn 1. So just trying a bit too hard. Put half of the wheel. Oh, yeah, on the exit to put half a wheel to a wheel on the grass, trying to get power on, and that's enough to spin the car. Now he's within at least chasing range for Juha Boos. So unfortunately for us, Jason Whited couldn't put on a Peterson drive and catch up to Grant, so I think the battle to watch now will be between Ray and Lukas for 9th and 10th. When Vidra really sideways through turn 1. But Ray in the dirty air can't quite make use of that opportunity. But Ray doing a great job to keep up with that McLaren. And Vidra doing a fantastic effort to stay ahead, not make too many mistakes, because that's having someone right behind you, and someone who is both of you driving very hard. It's very difficult to not make mistakes. And I haven't seen Vidra do one yet this race. At least no big mistakes. And that's what you need to do to be able to stay ahead. As they head into Orkia and front they Concertina up, and now they will Concertina out just a little bit. Because as we can see here, the McLaren is a bit faster down the straight. I'm fairly sure it's a difference in the engines. I believe Vidra's will be one iteration newer, but Vidra is wide here. When he's actually on the grass, this is a race opportunity. Ray goes up inside him and Ridol up into 9th. Some great opportunistic driving there from Ray, and now it's Lukas' turn to try and be on the offensive. As Ray locks up, clearly used to have someone in front of him to follow into Mixtos. Follow along for this lap as well and see what Lukas can do about Ray up ahead. When Vidra really sideways on the entry, loses out, so I think the 9th and 10th fight is most likely finished there. It's nice to see Michael Griffiths still running, trying to put in as good a race as he can. Jason White's still running as well, which is nice to see. Hopefully he will be able to finish this race. Mick Chapman, of course, retired early on in the first race. Hopefully he'll be able to finish for Frank Williams and put a smile on both his own and Frank's face. Bruno Chacon running 13th with a BT26, a very good effort from Bruno. Once again in a slightly lesser car than most of the others around him, but he gets on with the business and does a great job at it. Edmund Hackman 12th in that Larry Tyrrell, putting in a good showing in this second race. 11th for Thiago Canolas, very strange pit stop, but putting on good drive for the BRM own racing entry. We're really crossed up in Ascari. Lukas Vidra, of course, for McLaren 10th, Ray Ridol 9th. Very good effort there in the March 701. Juha Bors 8th after his early antics. Jason Whitehead running 7th, unfortunately after a slight mistake. David Yates running 6th for BRM, putting in a very good showing. As he gets really crossed up on the exit there. Clearly showing that car has a lot of power, but struggling to get the power down onto the road. Grant Vidal, a great recovery from the back of the field, running 5th at the moment. Let's hope his engine holds up to the finish. 4th for Jan Kowalski, very steady and good drive from him. Same can be said for Brian Yannick. Two Lotus drivers still running third and fourth. Second for Austin Johnson, right behind Jason White now, as Jason gets out of the way. Very nicely done in Orkia. But clearly way out in front at the moment. David Junt now 3.4 seconds ahead. And as long as his engine lasts for the last 3 laps, I don't think there's anything that would be stopping David here to take a seemingly dominant victory. And he's about to lap 8th place Juha Boos in the Ferrari. I think Enzo Ferrari will be very unhappy with that. Michael Griffiths really hanging the car. No, sorry, that's Austin Johnson. My apologies. Really letting the car hang out coming out of Cachan. I think the most impressive drive in race 2 is being performed by Brian Yannick, running third. And only 2.5 seconds, even less now, behind Austin Johnson. So Brian definitely putting that Lotus to good use and putting in a tremendous drive here. You can actually see up ahead how he is closing in on Austin Johnson. Ooh, as long as he doesn't do that. But it's good fun to be sliding the car like that. It's not very quick. Oh, Johnson wide in Curva 1. So the fight for second could still be on here with 2 laps to go. Lotus seemingly coming really good towards the end of this race. Of course, Austin could be pacing himself, but I'm not sure he is. Looks like he's struggling a lot for rear grip. David Junt as well dropping back, so maybe both Austin and Junt is pacing themselves, but I don't think Austin would be pacing himself knowing that he is closing in on David Junt. And I think David Junt is still behind Juha Boos, so maybe David Junt is being slowed down by being behind Juha Boos. Let's see what happens on this final lap of the race. Ryan getting really close to Austin now, and Junt also being closed in on, so this could be a very tight finish as we go through Entrada a los Mixtos for the last time, Viborita and Ombu, and now through Cachan. So unless there's an audacious outbraking maneuver. I think this may be the way we end, but anything can happen still. Through toboggan. When Brian really trying to get on the power, really late on the brakes, gets right up behind Austin Johnson. Let's see what the exits are like. But it looks like David Junt will finish this race and be the winner of this event, as he is clearly very happy with that. I think Austin Johnson will be finishing second in the event. Brian Yannick, I presume, will be third in the event. Great drive from all three of them. Let's see, still to finish is Jan Kowalski, and he hasn't fully gotten away from Grand Prix. 3 seconds to gap, so I think he is pacing himself. Looks like Team Lotus would finish third and fourth here, so I'd assume they'll be very happy with that. And here we go, Jan Kowalski finishing fourth. Grant Widol with a great spur of energy and driving finishes fifth from the rear end of the field. Great drive from him. Sixth will be David Yates, a good recovery drive from him. Seventh will be Jason Whited. Eighth will be Juha Bos, last car on the lead lap. Ninth will be Lukas Vidra. 10th, Thiago Canola, so Ray Ridol will have dropped away somewhere. Adam Hackman finishes 11th. Ray Ridol is 12th. Oh dear me, I have no idea what happened, but clearly he is behind the rest. Maybe even retired, seeing as... No, I'm not sure. Oh well. 12th for Ray Ridol. 13th, Bruno Chacon. 14th looks to be Mick Chapman. Good drive from him in the second race. 15th, Jason White, so I think Jason will be happy with that. 16th for Michael Griffiths, our last runner, I think. And yes, Ray Ridol retired on the last lap. Dear me, I expect that's an engine failure, I'm not sure exactly. Jan Prusha gets 17th, retired of course. Dave Miller retired early on, along with Jan Driot. Timo Vermeersch and David Saber retired on lap 2, I believe it was. So what an event that was! That was some very good racing in all through the field. Some very close fights, some spills, and overall a very, by the looks of things, difficult track to get to grips with. We did it by being brave and stupid, Jason. I think that's how we did it for 2 hours in the real race, or the series last year.
User joined your channel.
As we are now joined by David Junt, our event winner. Congratulations, David! Fantastic drive.
Hello, Jonathan. Thank you.
I must say, that looked like a clinical drive. It looked like you had no issues at all.
Yeah, I dialed the car in. I had some troubles probably with the brake and such that I needed to change since they were too far forward at the front and at the start of the sessions. And in the end, I think I got them more towards the back, but so more neutral. But could probably make a bit better setup for the car since yeah, I'm not the best at it. The car just worked very well at this track, and yeah, it was really amazing to drive. And we hadn't really problems out there since. Yeah, I mean, I was mostly because of nervosity just trying to like get consistent lap times in, and that first start in the first heat was probably the most surprised or the best one I had recently. So I was surprised that I could keep it up from the start, and seeing Dave Miller fly up to second behind me and then mostly control it. But in heat 2 I was still just trying to not go anywhere. I was not sure where I should go to not spin or just write the car off. So yeah, I was consistent trying to make the same work, and in the end I was not really wanting to lap Juha, so I stayed for the most part behind him. Only like at the end I was getting a bit worried and thought it's getting tight, but it worked out, and I thought I really didn't need to press the issue, so that was all okay. Everyone was doing great work with lapping and such.
Yeah, certainly looked like you had no major issues. I do notice some guys are complaining about feeling a little bit tired out. How are you feeling after the 2 heats?
Well, a bit probably. It hasn't settled in. Adrenaline normally only lets you later experience it really. Probably still a bit, well, under the influence, but I could probably drive a bit more, but I mean, like 2 hours and such in driving an old Formula 1 car, it also has its limits, but it's not like it was like the Nordschleife, so it was okay at this race since it was not quite the biggest demanding track, but yeah. I mean, I wasn't over pushing the car when I didn't need to, but when I needed to, I did, so yeah.
Well, again, big congratulations. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I was really looking after the car since you should not over V12 engine. I mean, they've got a big, I mean, quite a lot of acceleration and so I was merely looking at making the shifts and not missing it. I missed some, but I did not over the car be hard, to be honest, I think. So I was really looking after the car, not to damage the engine, so that was good.
Okay. Well, again, congratulations on scoring the event win and quite a few points in the Gold Star standings, I'm fairly sure, and for being able to keep the Matra alive, seeing as there were quite a few engine dramas in the series last year. And with that, I think we will cap off the broadcast after, on my timing, about 3 hours and 10 minutes. So, yeah. Next time we will be on broadcast, I think, will be next Sunday for... no, sorry, it won't be next Sunday. Will be in 2 weeks' time on May the 14th for the Indianapolis 500 qualifyings. For that, you will have Jason White in the broadcast booth, along with most likely me, Richard Coxon, and Juha Bos. So hopefully we'll have a great time then, and we will, as Jason so nicely put it, have some real drama going on with the bumping. But anyway, until then, have a great couple of weeks and good night.